Wagwan Generals, welcome back to another episode of the Shift Gear Podcast. First of all, this is my final form. I'm going to evolve to this one day. Second of all, I got good news and bad news. So, as you can tell, I'm not at my desk right now. I'm going to give you a quick look around. There's an obelisk, some trees, a bunch of giant buildings back there. I'm in Central Park. So the good news is, the person who's going to come on today will know a lot more about what happened at Stuttgart Regionals than I will. Give it about an 88% chance they know more of what was happening, given that I did not even watch. Second of all, I unfortunately won't be on Shift Gear this week. I decided, though, that if they're going to give me 2 minutes to be on Shift Gear, I'm going to make it the stupidest, goofiest 2 minutes ever. As you can see, I'm using a Snapchat filter to record my intro. But yeah, I'm going to be in Manhattan next couple days, so I'm going to leave it off with Ciaran and whoever the hell he gets. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm sure they'll be better than me. So the good news is you're in for a great episode of Shift Gear. And the other good news is you won't have to deal with me. So enjoy.
What is going on, TCG enjoyers? I've traded out Aneil this week since him and his girlfriend are on a trip in New York, but hopefully you enjoyed his little intro he filmed. We have Christian Fontenot, Denmark's finest, joining me today. So Christian, how you doing? You want to introduce yourself to the people, to the Shift Gear listeners?
Doing good. Subbing in for Aneil today, so I'm happy to be on. Talked a bunch with Ciaran over the past 2 weeks here, so yeah, looking forward to yapping some Pokemon. It's always a good time.
Nice, yeah. So we just had Stuttgart Regionals over the weekend that you and I can discuss. So normally this is the part of the podcast where Aneil and I banter about like North American sports. So I think the Shift Gear listeners are going to be happy this week that we're going to stick to Pokemon to start here. So. Yeah, Christian, you and I have worked together the past few weeks. We've just been like ripping some dango at our past few tournaments. So I mean that's what both of us played. Maybe we can start with that. So you and I actually both played the third place list that played here, and yeah, I think I want to spend a lot of time in today. Like we can talk about like Goldango. We'll talk about every deck, but maybe like the different builds, like some of the A specs. If you should play Cornerstone counter, and just maybe in general when you should play attacking for stuff. So, I mean, this is a list that was basically, the base is your dance top 4 list. So, do you want to maybe like go through like where you think it sits in the current meta, and like maybe your thoughts on why this is the list that you like or that we like and that approach?
Yeah, so I guess like with the Gdansk 60 as the basis, it felt like it was the 60, or at least like the 59, 58 maybe, right? At least skeleton wise, that felt the most well-rounded and just strictly just the most powerful, right? Like we could tech stuff if we had to, but playing more generally good cards like, you know, Premium Power Pro or Lana's Aid or Picnic Basket in the past, right? It felt better than playing stuff like Mawile or Mega Lucario or even Cramorant to a degree, where I think the goal was just saying like, hey, Dango's the best deck. We're playing the best deck. We want to play the best general list, right? And while we might be more susceptible to cards like Cornerstone or even, you know, more miscellaneous techs like Crustle or a Typhlosion's running around, right? Like whatever miscellaneous jank there's out there. If we hit good players playing good decks, we should be favored because we're just playing the best deck is like the general philosophy, right? And so it was like comment on the Stuttgart 60 after LAIC, where both me and Ciaran played the Gdansk 60 again, right? I kind of wanted to like really like lock in and like hate on Jellyguardy for this weekend because it was both placements in the finals, and it just seemed like a good call for the weekend as well. So I was like testing Lopunny, but I couldn't really get it to work properly. And me and Ciaran kind of went back and forth on a couple cards, primarily Monkey Dory over Picnic Basket, because it kind of creates the situation against Jellyguardy where when they try to Frillish Lock you, if you're able to get the Monkey Dory Dark in play while attacking with Soul Rock, you're actually in a really good spot. So, because they kind of just don't do enough damage to you, right? And eventually, you know, you're always going to be able to just Soul Rock down even through the Bravery Charms on the Frillish, right? So, yeah, it seemed really powerful. The Monkey Dory actually ended up being really good into both the Pulp matchup as well as the Mirror. It has some like really interesting use cases in the Mirror, which is it's fun, it's niche, but it's like you can do some fun stuff where you go like Vitband Premium Power Pro with a Soul Rock, knock out their Soul Rock, and then they just swing into your Soul Rock. You still have the Vitband on your Soul Rock, and you can go Monkey Dark and do it again, right? Niche, but cool, right? And outside of that, it's just the same consistent 60, right? I was a little sad to cut a Fighting Energy, but I didn't get punished for it, so I can't really complain. Clearly, neither did Ufe. He was asking me almost like even before I got back from Brazil, because me and Ufe are good friends. We go way back, and he's like, "Hey, so what's the Dengo 60 for Stuttgart?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I'll send it to you when I have it, right? Like when I have a 60, I'll send it your way." And like I think it was like Thursday night. I'll go, "Okay, here's the 60, man. Have fun." And I'm sure he had fun with it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think top four is a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I think I concur with like most of your thoughts, right? Like in general, like when I play, like I just like playing consistent lists. And then like just let your play do the talking type of thing. And like sometimes you just hit bad matchups. I hit Alakazam round one Stuttgart. That was not fun. But yeah, no, I thought it was really good. So I guess maybe like one thing we can talk about, like a broad topic that I think asked a lot is like when should you be teching for matchups, right? Or I guess for like hard matchups. Because I mean, I guess you don't play a cornerstone counter, like your win rate is like extremely low, right? So it is a very swingy thing to add like a Mawile or Lopunny or like Lucario to the deck. So I guess maybe the question I have for you is like, what meta percentage do you think Cornerstone would have to be for you to want to play like a tech card for it?
Yeah, I think it's weird, right? Because there's two sides to this. The first is just the overall meta percentage, but then if you're trying to win the event, you should also be considering how good of a play you think the deck you're losing to is. So we use Mega Absol as our example, right? There might be, I don't know, 5% Absol in the room, and they're all playing Cornerstone. But if I think that Absol is a bad play for the tournament, then I can kind of like, I guess, like decide that, okay, after round 4, if I'm 4-0, right? Big if there, but you know, if you make it to that score, then your odds of playing against stuff like Cornerstone just completely falls off, right? So that's another part of it. Sometimes you're just going to hit Cornerstone round 1 and you can go cry about it to your friends, right? But I think if you're trying to win the event or like have a deep run, you kind of have to make sacrifices in your matchup spread. And at least with Dengo, just taking the L to Mega Absol seems super reasonable as long as you're actually beating everything else, right? If we end up seeing anywhere close to like 8 to 10% Mega Absol, sure, we could play them all wild at that point. But I think if there's that much Mega Absol in the room, we're going to see Absol players start to find answers to Mawile. We actually saw this in Brazil, where I believe the Australian group ended up playing some stadium card that I forget the name of, right?
Snowy Mountain.
The Snowy Mountain, yeah. Where basically the idea was that you would self-damage your Cornerstone so that the Mawile's second attack wouldn't one-shot, right? So it might be a good idea to pull up Mawile here, because there's some text on that card that there's a fine print, let's put it that way, where Huge Bite here, if your opponent has any damage on them, it only does 30 damage, right? And doing 30 damage to a Cornerstone isn't particularly useful. So we start to see stuff like that, right? And then, you know, we could go into like hard techs like Mega Lucario, right? I don't think they have any answer to Mega Lucario, but even like Mega Lopunny isn't a clean answer into Cornerstone, especially not the Absol box, right? Because the Gale Thrust doesn't actually one-shot Cornerstone through a Bravery Charm, and they can like monkey the damage back, and it becomes like a whole situation where I'm sure we could find a Dengo list that can beat Cornerstone and all its like toys conveniently and consistently, but with 1 week to prepare for Stuttgart, it did not seem worth it to me. And I still stand by. I just don't think it's worth it in general. Ufe, for his part, in day 1, I believe he went 8-1, and he hit his one loss in day 1 Swiss was a Cornerstone, right? And honestly, you know what? If we beat everything besides Cornerstone, we take one loss to Cornerstone, we go 8-1 in Swiss, right? I don't think we can complain about that. So it just seems like the best call overall. I think in general, because I was getting asked about Cornerstone techs a lot, I don't think we have to be that scared of having an auto loss as long as the auto loss is not super, super, super popular, right? Yeah. And it's pretty reasonable to say I'll hit one Cornerstone in the event and I'll just lose to it. I think that's relatively reasonable.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think one thing too when it comes to teching, like I've discussed
Mm-hmm.
in this pod before, and I always tell everyone is like I like my techs to have like utility or like be
Yeah.
applicable to like multiple matchups. So like something like Mawile, like besides corner, doesn't really have that much utility. Like you can kind of use it against Jellicent and like Dragapult sometimes, but like not
Mm-hmm.
really. Same with Lopunny. Lopunny's like okay against Gardevoir, but it's not like amazing, right? So then it's like yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the opportunity cost. So like, what am I cutting? Am I cutting like Lana's from my deck? Am I cutting I don't know, like a second Turo, for example, Power Pro? Like these are all like
Mm-hmm.
cards that are just like good against like everything.
Yeah.
And like I think that just increases your overall win rate more than like targeting like a 5% type of matchup in general. And then also like
Mm-hmm.
it's small, but if you add Mega Mawile to your deck, you have like a 5% chance of starting it, and like that's game losing against a lot of things, right? So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah, so I think that's just the thing. Like you have to just like basically say like, hey, if it's not a significant matchup, like what's the point? Like it's actually more
Mm-hmm.
detrimental. I'm actually losing win percentage across the board, even though it doesn't like seem like that since you're introducing an auto loss. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, we did see a successful group playing the Mega Mawile. So
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Magda, he won Gdansk. So
Yes.
he's back playing Mega Mawile, and he plays like the secret box build. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another question I get from a lot of people because there's Trolley, there's Prime, there's Box. Personally, what are some of your thoughts on the ace specs? I'm pretty adamant that Prime Catcher is the best one, but Secret Box has
Yeah.
been seeing a decent amount of success, specifically with I
Mm-hmm.
guess Daniel Magda and his group of friends.
Yeah, so Box is weird because I really wanted to like Box actually. I talked a fair bit with Drew Stevenson and Lil right after he bubbled out of top 16 ASIN at 17th, and he was the first one to really play the Secret Box, right? Um, we talked about like, well, I was playing Trolley at the time, and I really wanted my ace spec to be a consistency card, but my biggest issue with Trolley was that our deck just didn't function going first, right? Um, so the idea of playing Box was really intriguing to me, but then I played the Box, and it just feels really mid, for lack of a better term, right? I never felt like I got any good value out of it. Like sometimes it was a +1 out to Boss, or a +1 out to Turo, or a +1 out to Superior, and that's nice, I guess. Like I mean, no deck is ever bad because it has a Secret Box in it. Secret Box is a great card, but I also think it takes up a deceptively large amount of space in the deck, right? You look at a list like this one, and there's not a whole lot of space to cut cards. I mean, you could cut them all while, I guess, right? But that's about it. Whereas a card like Prime Catcher, you just cut the boss, and it slots in very cleanly because you still have a high amount of gust with 3 boss, 1 Prime, and of course your Arvins become outs to gusting, right? And this for me ended up being way more important because I want to be able to play, as kind of as you said, more generalized tech cards, right? I think teching can be detrimental, like playing cards like Mawile, but there are also more general techs I think are really, really important for our matchup spread. And the biggest one, in my opinion, is that Premium Power Pro, or at least some kind of respect to the mirror.
Yeah.
I believe Ufa actually played against Daniel Magda in top 8. And based on what I heard, like the games were close, but Ufa was sizably ahead in every game they played because he had Premium Power Pro Vitband, and he also had the Prime Catcher, which is a pretty big swing card in the mirror match as well. So now you have 2 cards off of Arvin that just give you a prize card, whereas this list has 0, right? And I mean that just can't be good. I really just don't think that can be good in a world where Goldango is the most played deck in the room. We have to show some kind of respect to the mirror match. That's probably my biggest gripe with Secret Box. There's like nitpicky parts about the list, right? Like I want more fighting energy outs. I think 4 metal is not necessary, but my biggest complaint is still the lack of respect for mirror. And yeah, of course, both Drew and Magda and even Miloslav did quite well this weekend. But I still think Prime Catcher is better. I just think it makes your deck better overall, in a more general sense.
Yeah, I think I agree. And the weird thing about when you play this list is like something most decks like they use Secret Box like turn 1 to get like a big setup, but like Box actually gets like almost no value turn 1 for like this deck. So like Box actually becomes like a mid game, late game card. You're supposed to save it. So
Yes.
yeah, so like you don't have that like aggressive like the Prime Catcher. Like I like because like you said, like if you're playing Mirror, even against like evolving decks, like you just play it like turn 1 or turn 2. Like kind of get a prize, get the lead, like take out whatever Pokemon they're setting up. Versus this, you have to be a little bit more reactive or passive with the Box. Like it is really good in late game, like when you draw it, but yeah, I think like you said, your mirror match is just not as good. And I mean, like Daniel didn't really play that many mirrors. Like he played against
Yeah.
Okay, this guy's playing normal Dango, and then he played against Miloslav, and he didn't hit another one until top cut. So
yeah.
I'm curious if I look at.
Whereas meanwhile, I think Ufa hit like 6 mirror matches in the tournament and went XO against them, right? So something like that. Yeah.
He beat 5 Dango Rocks, yeah. I mean, I've had that experience too. Like, my win rate against like, mirror is like I think 80% plus with the list that we've been playing. So I think I agree with you. Like, I mean, when the deck is like that popular, like, it is the most popular deck. It's, like, it feels really nice to have that mirror. Yeah. What do you think about Trolley? Like, I think Trolley's like okay. It's just like I feel like you said, I mean, it makes it harder to go first.
So it's actually really interesting because I played Trolley a lot and then I dropped it for Prime. You know, went well in Gdansk when I did that. But when I was trying to like implement the Mega Lopunny, I actually went back to the Trolley briefly because we kind of discovered that, like, not to like do a Lopunny side tangent here, but basically like you need to play Cypher Maniac or like something equivalent for Lopunny to be good, because you need to be able to find the Lopunny under item lock, right, to be able to use it against Jelly Guardy, which is one of the main matchups you will use Lopunny for, right? So I was like, okay, can I play Cypher Maniac in the Prime Catcher build? After a bit of testing, the answer was very clearly no. Just not very consistent, at least as a 2 of, right? You ended up having to cut like Ball Surgeon Arvin, and that just got a little sketchy. You cut text for Cypher, but that creates other issues. So I was like, okay, well, we can play Trolley, and then the Trolley build, because we play less Ball Search, because we have Trolley, we can play 2 Cypher. And the Cypher is like fine, and the Trolley is fine, but there's like a really weird issue with Trolley where you kind of still want to play a lot of Ball Search because you need to be able to play the game on turn 1. It's like you're still playing 4 Gong, right, and a single Nest Ball and a single Poffin and the Trolley itself, and in some lists even an Ultra Ball, right, and a single Artisan. And at that point you have so much Ball Search that you can actually play the game on turn 1 going first. But then if you go second, you play Trolley, you just have a bunch of like semi-dead cards in your deck, right? That like don't do a whole lot. So it ended up just feeling really mediocre, where I was also just like, I'd rather just draw Nest Balls in the early and mid game, right? Cypher Maniac's a good card, and I think it's a card that like, as a 2 of at least, only really works with Trolley. As a 1 of, it's splashable into any version of Dango, but as a 2 of, it really only worked with Trolley. But it just felt like not good enough. Where I guess like the conclusion here is, if we have to play Cypher, we play Trolley, but we would really like to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. And the one other list I wanted to talk about was one that Owen Cameron played. So he played the Lopunny, and then he played the TM Evo. So like kind of like you were talking about, like it's kind of hard to set it up against Gardevoir. So like his response was kind of like, oh, like we can just play TM Evo, and we TM Evo to the Lopunny. And I guess you can also, against like slower matchups, just Evo to Dango, where it doesn't matter to put 2 prizes into play early. So I thought this was actually a very interesting approach. Like, I actually think Lopunny is actually pretty decent against Guardy, just Guardy Jelly. Because there's a couple things. Like, obviously, the second attack like stops the Frillish Shuffle. But also, the Gale Thrush just knocks out Fez, right? And that's like a really key card for them in that matchup. So I actually think being able to like take 2 prizes and like kind of accelerate the game for yourself is actually quite nice. So I don't know, I have to maybe spend some time with this list, but this list kind of intrigued me. I don't know what your thoughts were on this one.
Yeah, this is very similar to what I kind of came to with Lopunny. The TM Evo is actually really funny because I spent a bunch of time in Brazil after I bombed LAAC, kind of working on a list with Lopunny, and I kind of just banged my head against the wall with the Cypher Maniac card. I just couldn't make anything work. I come back to Denmark, right? I'm like working on a list to update my guide, and basically Oscar like is like, you can just play TM Evo, right? I'm like, there's no way I spent like 2 full days in Brazil surrounded by some of the best players in the world, and no one thought to remember TM Evo existed in our deck that plays 4 Arvin. So I think if I had played Megalopony, I'd played something similar to this. The TM Evo was really good. It worked fine in the couple of games I got in with it. The main reason I actually didn't want to play Lopunny for this weekend is, while I do think the card is like really, really good, it's like a generalized tech, kind of like as we've been highlighting. It's good into Jelly Guardy and it's good in the Cornerstone. So you can have like a good card in other matchups that helps you beat Cornerstone. My biggest issue actually is that our space to play Lopunny comes at the cost of Vitband. And Vitband itself is like a generally like fine card, but it notably doesn't. It means that if we don't play Vitband, we're not able to play Premium Power Pro. to the same effect, right? Because we need our Solrock to be doing 110 instead of just 100.
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves us with Cramorant as our only possible tech for the mirror, unless we want to find another cut for Bitband. And the more I play with Cramorant, the more I just don't like it. I really wanted to like Cramorant. I really did. But as your only tech in the mirror, it feels super mediocre. And I really, really wanted to like have decent mirror respect this weekend. Cramorant is totally fine if you're also playing Bitband and Premium Power Pro, but with just the Cramorant, it felt really suspect. So for me, at least, it ended up being a thing where like we're playing Lana, we're playing Monkey, so we're fine into Jelly Guardy. Am I playing Lopunny to beat Cornerstone then, or am I playing Premium Power Pro Bitband to beat Mirror? And as we discussed, beating Mirror is certainly more important than beating Cornerstone, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think from this list, like maybe you could cut the Cram in the basket, maybe if you wanted to fit the Bitband combo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
It's
really
possible.
see where else you would cut cards from, but I agree with that rationale. But I like this package if you're gonna play Lopunny, like the TM package.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, you still beat a bunch of mirrors. Like, you can still beat mirror, like if you're a strong player and you understand how to play the boards. But I agree with you. The problem, Cram, like if you don't play the Power Pro, like if your opponent plays Power Pro, like they're gonna get the first prize on you, and then it's just becomes very hard to come back.
It does. One thing I actually quickly want to highlight about Owen's list is it doesn't play Ultra Ball. Which like isn't a card we like need to play, but typically when we played cards like Lucario or even Togekiss in the past, you would need to play a card like the one of Ultra Ball to actually find that evolution Pokemon, in this case the Mega Lopunny. But we're basically saying here, like, in every matchup we want to Lopunny, we're gonna Evo for it every time. And if we don't Evo for it, it's already in our hand. So I think the rationale there with playing no Ultra Ball makes a lot of sense. And we just commit to the Evo. So it's worth noting that we probably just don't need to play an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, no, I like that. This is very like I think skilled deck building, like understanding of how to play the game, which is good. So
absolutely.
I mean, I think that's all the Dengo thoughts or topics I wanted to discuss this week. I know you're the best guest for that, so hopefully, if you're a Dengo player, you learn something from that. So we can discuss the rest of the tournament. So I guess maybe we'll start at the top with Nikolai's Charizard deck, and you Nikolai are friends. He represents fellow Dane. So I mean, I guess this is probably like a pretty surprising result, I think, for this weekend. I don't think like this deck was on like anyone's radar. Like I know Oscar posted it in his like kitchen or his lot. But I mean, like he posts like 100 like meme decks, so I guess maybe it just got lost in the shuffle. But yeah, it was a really cool list, I think. Honestly, the Mega Evolution set, or whatever the new Phantasmal Flames, is like kind of a mid set, right?
Super mid.
So yeah, like this is the one deck that I think really used Dawn. I think Dawn had a lot of hype initially when people saw it, and then like it didn't really see that much play this weekend across the format, besides this first place Charizard list. So I think one problem I've always had historically with Charizard is like it is so reliant on Pidgeot, and if you don't get it set up or it gets knocked out, like your deck kind of just like sucks. And I think the Noctowl kind of fixes that a bit. Like you still want to set up Pidgeot, obviously, but if you don't, like you still have plays with Noctowl. It lets you play a bit more aggressive. And the Trapago actually just slots in as like a natural corner counter, which is nice, and like it's like an okay attacker. So, like, what are your thoughts on this list? Do you think this is the way to play Charizard going forward?
Yeah, so I mean, starting with my thoughts on the list, I think this list is ridiculously broken, for lack of a better term, right? I absolutely think it's the best way to play Charizard going forward, because when you look at like a traditional Charizard Pidgeot deck, it's still very strong, it's still very good, but it's not like it has any natural advantage over a list like this. In the past, we had Charizard Pidgeot, we had Charizard Noctowl or Charizard, right, if that's what you want to call it. And those decks, Charizard decks, they would play like Wellspring or like a thinner line of the Dusknoir, a thinner line of Pidgeot, right? And they'd be like slightly less consistent Zard deck that like tried to patch a hole in your matchup spread. Like generally speaking, that was kind of the gist of it. And Zard Pidgeot was just like raw power wise, typically the best option for Zard, right? Well, Dawn kind of makes Terrazard not much of a Terra deck at all, and really just a normal Charizard deck that gets to play a Noctowl every turn. Which is really ridiculous the more you think about it, because a big problem for a deck like Zard previously, as you said, is the reliance on Pidgeot, right? And if your Pidgeot gets knocked out, it creates a lot of problematic board states. The consistency is also sometimes notoriously a bit lacking, right? Like when the deck sets up, it's great. But a lot of the times, like you play Lily and you either set up your entire board and you win the game, or you draw absolutely nothing and you're just not having a good time. Whereas here, all we really need is a Poffin and a Dawn, right? Or some combination of similar cards. And our deck just kind of runs. Typically, you go first, you do your fan random stuff. That's another point, actually. Going first is super strong in this format because most of the best decks all want to go second. And being a top deck that can go first consistently is a pretty big deal. So we go first, we fan rotom, right? We get a under down, and we pass. And then on turn 2, we get to play Dawn. And Dawn is basically just saying, okay, you're going to grab either Charizard or Pidgeot, whichever stage 2 you need, a Noctowl, and a Terapagos, right? So that you can activate your Noctowl. Or if you already have Pagos, you grab Duskull for next turn, like something similar like that. And because Dawn searches Noctowl and a basic, which typically becomes like early game is like Pagos, mid game it becomes Fez, and then of course late game it could be like Duskull if you're trying to set up like checkmatey boards. Early game it's also very often Duskull, right? You always grab a Noctowl and you get whatever stage 2 you want, and you're often playing Dawn like 2 or 3 turns in a row. As like the supporter you're spamming. We like use the Iono if we need to make a comeback. We use the boss like to finish the game, or the Briar to finish the game, right? And I mean, I'm kind of going in circles here, but really the best descriptor of this deck is just imagine Zard if it never whiffed. That's what you're looking at, right? You still have your Pidgeot line being, relatively the same. So your Duster line being a 2/1/1, right? It's just really impressive. Very strong, super simple, super linear. But I think for a tournament like this, just having pure linear aggression is super strong, and this deck certainly does that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the Dragapult matchup is still horrible, but like kind of how we're talking about
absolutely.
Early corner, it's like who cares? Like just take one bad matchup. So I think this deck is like you said, like basically just gets to do what it wants like almost every turn. Which is just like kind of what you want out of a deck. And then Dusknoir and Briar package just gives you like so much comeback or prize mapping potential. Like it's actually very easy to win 2 attacks with this deck. So that's kind of your like, it's like you might be like, oh, where's Chiyu, or even like new Moltres or something. It's like you kind of just against Dengo go for like the Dusknoir play, and like you can still lose if Dengo like gets the proper prize map on you, but for sure. Like that's kind of like the answer here. Because I was actually thinking about Chiyu in this deck. I'm like, oh, it doesn't actually work that well because you have to normally bench Pagos and then Zard, and you have two prizes in play, and then like you don't play Turo or Stadium Pump. But yeah, I think this is just like pure consistency and power. Like this deck's super strong, so I expect this deck to be like the go-to build going forward. I don't really see a reason to play like the traditional Charizard anymore. I think Oyvind made top cut with a traditional Charizard, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
because it's like the Charizard, the European Charizard goat. With his Mesagoza and like Defiance.
Mesagoza, Mesagoza Secret Box. I mean, it's just a good 60, right? Like, no complaint. I mean, this is a really good example, actually, because the 60 is really good. It's really strong. It does everything as our deck needs to do. But despite this list being very, very good, I think it's just strictly outclassed by the 4 Donzard or Donzard or whatever you want to call it, right? I just like you look at this list and like, yeah, you have all the same things, but they're in a less consistent package that also doesn't let you make your comebacks in a as clean fashion, right? Another really, really good point on the Donzard is that if you're winning in 2 attacks and your first attack is paired with a prime catcher, it's really, really hard for your opponent to do anything about that. Especially when you have a board with Pidgeot where they're just not able to make reliable comebacks against you. In a similar vein, like Charizard's always been a deck that like kind of has to play the comeback game in a lot of matchups. And then if you ever let Charizard get ahead, like you kind of just lose because they can always just Pidgeot for boss. Like you can never Iono them out of the game unless you knock out the Pidgeot. This is just exactly that, right? Where you go fast, you take the first 2 prizes, you make a Pidgeot, and your opponent can't deal with it, and they just lose, right? Super, super strong. Like, again, like you lose to Poltnoir. I think it was Jesper who said this, actually, who's also on the deck. He's like, yeah, we lose the Bolt Noir, but we beat literally everything else, which means we have a 90% win rate into the field, right? And all Polt's a popular deck, right? There's a lot of Polt, but it is a very, very bad matchup. And you are just going to have runs where you hit one too many Polt, and then that's your tournament run, right? But the upside is so huge of playing a deck like this, where if you beat everything else, your deck is just so broken.
Yeah, we get a lot of good finishes for this deck actually. I went top 32 and all that. But I know Nikolai beat Holt in the finals, but someone told me there's like a double prize penalty or something. Did you watch the finals? Like,
I watched. I only watched game 2 because basically I was on my way to the airport when finals started. Okay. But the DPL there was a DPL in game 2, but it was on a chalked board. Basically, I think Alexander only had Nikolai goes to one prize. Alexander's board is literally just a single Latias, nothing on the bench. And Alexander goes draw for turn. I think he plays Iono, and he benches a Dreepy, and then he evolves the Dreepy almost immediately after and uses Recon Directive. And neither the stream judges or Steeball notice it. I think Steeball is just too nervous about the fact that he's about to win against this matchup, right? But no one notices, and we're all just looking at it. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, that Dreepy hit the board 15 seconds ago, dude. It's very obviously a mistake, right? And I don't think it will change the outcome of the match that much, but regardless, the matchup's very bad for Zard, but Nikolai was able to beat it both in top 8 and in finals. It seemed like it was just a bit of bricking, but the matchup does play in a really strange way where if as the Zard player you just make a Pagos or even a Fan Rhythm and you just swing every turn, you can win as long as your opponent eventually whiffs a Badoo, or if they can't counter catch or stall something, right? It's what'll happen pretty often. It's try to CC a Noctowl and just force you to whiff energy. Since you can't get Pidgeot into play, you can't really find the energy, right? You can spam Dawn to eventually get into a Charizard, right? And that's pretty good, especially with the Charmeleon that does 40 for 1 energy, right? Super strong into Badoo. So you're able to mostly keep up with the Badoo. The problem is they just ruin your board too much, so that by the time they have a Dragapult, you don't have any real response to the Dragapult.
Yeah, this board
but sometimes Pult has a slow start, and you are able to capitalize on those slow starts at least.
Yeah, sure. I'm just looking here too at his matchups. This is the most normal matchup spread I've ever seen in my life. I yearn for my matchups to look like this every tournament.
Well, besides, if we ignore the Pult Noirs, he didn't hit a Pult Noir until he ID'd into cut, right?
Exactly right.
But yeah, you tie to a Jelly Guard and you just hit Jelly Guard Zard, then go. Actually, just a lot of Gardevoir, right? There's a lot of Gardevoir.
Yeah, I guess he tied the last one, so he beat 6.
Yeah.
Or went 5-1.
The 13 and round 14 and 14 were IDs. They were both IDs.
Yeah, lots of Guardy. So I guess that's actually my next topic I wanted to ask is what happened to Gardevoir? I mean, it's the most hyped deck. It's the deck that's been dominating since the season, but is Gardevoir just kind of mid, or is this is just a Europe thing where Guardy just for whatever reason cannot perform in Europe? We need to ship Henry Chow over to Europe if we want Guardy to start seeing some results.
I think Gardevoir's strong. Gardevoir's Gardevoir, right? But I think a big part of it is that the best players in Europe are not playing Gardevoir, outside of a couple of exceptions, right? Rune is a good example of good Guardy player doing well. Rune and let me make sure I'm remembering who this was. And Kim. They ID'd around 14, which was really strange. I talked to Rune's dad right before round 14, and Rune was there. And I think it wasn't Rune's dad. Well, he was there, but I think Rune just asked me hey, do you think the round 14 ID is fine? I'm looking at it I haven't really looked at it, but at a glance it doesn't look fine, right? You make cut if a couple of specific ties play out. So I really don't know what Kim and Rune were doing with that. I feel they should have just played it out. I know the Jelly Guardy mirror, I've heard it's not that fun, but I feel that definitely should never have been an ID. And even Kim IDing Kim IDing in round 13 to Nikolai makes an amount of sense, because you basically say hey, this is a bad matchup, right? I'm just gonna ID here and win my next one. Even though Kim was in a position to be like still lose to Nikolai and then win the next one to make cut. So maybe it's like, I don't know, you tie around 13 and you lock up top 16. I don't really know what the thought process is here, but definitely a little bit strange for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, we probably should have had one
Yeah.
Guardian cut.
We,
Yeah, I
we
think,
really should have had a Guardian cut, yeah.
yeah, I think even here, right, like tying the Charizard, I think this is the wrong decision because you like basically
Mhm.
like give yourself one win in, where you can give yourself two win-ins, even if it's unfavored matchup, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, I think I would have probably played that one out. But yeah, so I
Yeah.
think Ruin he played, from my understanding, this was the Henry Chow list for the weekend.
Yeah. I think it's actually one card off, I think. I believe the Chow list played one CC, two Jelly.
Oh, actually, yeah, I think you're right.
I think
yeah.
that was the list I saw like going around. I believe actually if I pull it up, I believe there's like, I don't know, miscellaneous people who I'm assuming are just in the Chow Discord server, like whatever's looked up to his Metafy, were like playing a list that looked like that. So like whenever I see that, I just assume that's the Chow 60 for the weekend. But I think Rune said like I want to play 2CC. That seems justifiable to me. Yeah, this is good. The ANSI is pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Turbo Energize is the big thing here. Like you can like make boards, like kind of when the Enamorous build was played, like you can just like Turbo Energize and make it ANSI. Or you play like Mirror or something, you can like Turbo Energize Double Monkey and then set up that up. I mean, it's a little hard to draw. Like you only have 3 outs to it turn one, since there's only like one Arvin and like the box and the Energize.
Yeah, I guess like the silver lining though is that you don't actually have to energize on turn one for it to be valuable.
You can do it like later.
Yeah. I mean, I'd assume so anyway, because if we need to team energize on turn one for it to be good, we shouldn't be playing it with 3 outs. But yeah, I mean, the list is Jelly Guardy, right? We've seen it before. I've actually been playing around with the 60 a bit, just kind of just a Dengo detox a little bit, like play some other decks. And I mean, low key, just going like Latias Frillish on turn one and just not bothering to bench a Ralt is really, really good. And especially when you play the thinner Gardevoir line, like it's not super uncommon that you'll just have late games where you don't have a Gardevoir. And then being able to energize suddenly becomes super, super strong. We're getting into niche situations with that, of course. Like we're still trying to have a Gardevoir in play, but it does give you like a pretty acceptable plan B, all things considered.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, I think like Gardevoir not doing that well this weekend is more so like you said, like the top and A players weren't there who all play Guardy, but like a lot of the good like game players like Consta and like Ruin and Kim, they all did pretty similar to deck too, right? Like one.
I mean, they all made like 16, 32, right? I don't think it helped that there was like a couple of Zards in cut, right? As well as like Dengo being like pretty consistently all over top tables. So actually, I think the more interesting
favorite matchups.
Listen, Henry Chow can make anything a favorite matchup, okay? Yeah, that was funny. I actually think the better story here is that if you click on Guardy as a whole, there was basically only Jelly Guardy at top tables. Like straight Gardevoir actually had it wasn't a poor showing, right? But it seems like Jelly Guardy is very solidly becoming the de facto build. I believe it was even more played than straight Guardy.
I think so.
Yeah, which is really interesting, right? Because I mean, I think Jelly Guardy is better. Like I do agree with this meta trend, but it's definitely very different to what we've seen in the past, right? Where a lot of people were still playing, Drifloon Guardy, for example. But now, I mean, Jelly Guardy is just noticeably like way more popular, and I believe the top placing straight Guardy 60 was top 64, which I mean is an all-time low for Gardevoir if we don't count Jellicent, right? Yeah, so really, really interesting there.
Yeah, I think like honestly ever since Dengo became like super popular, it's like there's not really a reason to not play Jelly, because like normal Guardy just gets like farmed by Dengo, so the Jelly
really does
a good shot into it. And like all the best players are just playing the Jelly build, right? So it's like yeah, like when I clicked on this list, like the names I'm seeing here, the first few or whatever, all very, very strong players, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, it had actually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were like 7 in top 32, so it didn't convert to cut. Like I mean, like honestly, 7 in top 32. That might be.
That's still pretty good, right?
Yeah. It's like that. I think Dengo's probably had more. 1, 2, 3. I won't count Jengo. 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, actually, they tied. So Guardian. All right, we'll include Jengo then to break the tiebreaker.
Sure.
So actually, we can talk about Django. Do you have any thoughts on Django? Like, I feel like it's okay. It's just like people just don't play this deck. Like, but it's like Joltik Box has had some like
Yeah.
results like the past few months.
hmm I think okay is actually the exact word I'd use for this deck. It's fine. Like it's a good deck that does the one thing it's supposed to do often. I mean in most games anyway, you Joltik to hands, you amp, your hands gets knocked out or you retreat it, and then you go Dengo, right? Super simple, 2/2/2 prize map, right? No need to overcomplicate it. I think being a deck this linear in a format like this is not super good. I think you're very susceptible to just being outplayed with a deck like this. Obviously, like, there's an amount of raw power just going Iron Hands, Dengo, right? If your opponent can't keep up, if they have a slow start, you can sometimes just roll them over. But you lose to Iono a lot. You lose to CC pretty often, right? Even like Dengo Rocks, like this was actually like way before like even Milwaukee. This is one of the matchups I was actually really worried about for Dengo Soul Rock, but I kind of quickly realized is that we can like go mid game one prize boards and like do some shenanigans, right? We have a lot of like really strange outplay potential by virtue of playing stuff like Double Turo, Soul Rock as an attacker, stuff like that, right? Where your opponent doesn't really have options if they're playing a deck like this, whereas US, in this case, the Goldengo Soul Rock player, have ways to outplay them, right? That kind of becomes like my biggest complaint with this, where like this just is like another Zero Ledge to me. It's probably better than Zero Ledge, but it's same category of deck.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think it's better than Sarah Ledge, but it's still.
I would agree.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is like, okay, Europe does not like Guardy, but they do like Dragapult because like there's 3 in Top Cut. I always see them well. I don't know, I'm kind of at the mindset like I don't think Dragapult is very good right now. I know it did pretty well in this tournament, but it's just like I feel like the deck, your 2 worst matchups are like the 2 most popular decks. Like I just find like that's hard. Like I get the whole appeal of Dragapult is like if you play it super well, like you can just like outskill your opponents. But like when all the other best players are playing Dengo and Guardy, like I find it's kind of hard to get through. But I mean the deck still keeps doing well. Like it's top cut LAIC, it's top cutting here, so I guess this deck just won't die, even though like I think on paper it's just like not that good of a spot. And I think like everyone just literally just plays the same list. Like everyone just plays this like double Hilda list now. Like no one really didn't make a splash in this deck like people might have thought.
No, not at all. This list is just the de facto Dragapult 60. I honestly don't know why we would play anything else at this point. Same 60 that won Lil, right? Yeah. Still being played. It top cut in Gdansk. It probably did well in Brazil. I don't know, but it probably did. And of course, it got second place. Yeah, I mean, look at this. It's one of those. And my take on Dragapult is like really strange because I think, as you said, Pult just doesn't have a good matchup into either Dengo or Guardy, right? Like you have outplay potential as Pult, right? If you play really well, you can win, but you don't really get that level of control over the games, right? As Pult. If we take the Dengo matchup as an example, right? As Pult, you could be playing perfectly, like you have the perfect board. You make a board where you go like jamming tower, CC, Iona to 1. Trap the Genesect, hit it for 200. Like you have game on board next turn, and your opponent's just going to go coin bonus, the lunar cycle. Oh, I hit knockout, shake my hand, right? And sometimes they'll whiff, sure, but it's not like that. As the Pult player, you're the one deciding that, right? And that's really scary to me. It almost seems like the anti-Joltik box, where like both decks in theory have like these really mid matchup spreads, and need their opponents to like whiff in some fashion to win. So like for Joltik box, you're basically saying if my opponent like whiffs any part of their opening like setup, right? Say they whiff a Dracloak or they miss Candy for their Gardevoir or whatever, like something like that. You can go amp Pikachu game, right? Or amp whatever, Blood Moon, who cares? Whereas with Dragapult, you're doing like your slow early game, you're going Badoo, and then you're trying to go Iono, swing, hope it works, right? And then, of course, sometimes you Badoo cheese people, right? Like your opponent goes draw pass, and then they can't play their Arven for a Poffin when you Badoo them, right? Or whatever it might be. And it like obviously Pult is like way better than Joltik box. Like I hope we can agree on that. Yes. But it does like win games in a similar way, kind of like again, the inverse, right? Where like it's universally good, but your matchup spread is really bad, kind of like bad enough, right? And you rely on your opponent to whiff to win games, which I don't think is that good when you could just be playing Gardevoir instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's strange. Like obviously Polt's strong, but it seems like Polt does well in spite of its matchup spread, not because of its matchup spread.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think there is a lot of agency you can have with the deck too, which is nice.
Yeah.
But wait, Alexander beat a Garchomp on the win and then what the heck?
I actually see this made 64. I didn't know it was in the win and then. This is certainly a list of all time.
No, that's hype. I mean, they have the Toad Scroll for Dango,
Yeah.
makes sense, and then
Yeah. Although I don't feel like one Toad Scroll
is enough.
Is enough. Yeah, they just play the rod, right?
There's
or even
double
without the
Evo.
rod.
So I guess you go.
That's-
Actually,
okay.
there's no rod. No, there's no rod, so you can't even.
Oh, we can't even recover the Toad Scroll. Oh yeah. Well, we have 2/2 Night Stretcher, but that doesn't really.
Yeah, because you can't make it right away,
Yeah.
right? So then Dango just gets all the stuff
Yeah.
back. Interesting. Maybe you can outprice
Huh.
them. I don't know. Oh, this is interesting. This is actually kind of cool. Let's see
Yeah.
who is he winning and losing against?
Lost to Greninja
Greninja?
and Mega Venusaur.
Yo, what is this right now? Process Monkey, Kangaboo.
This is Sir.
Oh,
Oh, hit Tord round one.
He beat Tord round one. That's so hype. I don't.
Dude, what is
that's
what
crazy.
is this tournament?
Yo,
This
this
gets, I mean, it
hype.
gets worse the more you look at it, right?
This is hype, bro. This is sick. This Garchomp getting the win and then. I mean, Europe
Yeah.
always has some weird stuff getting the win. We've had a Greninja get to the win and then
Mhm.
once or twice, or even get top cut. Like I think in Europe.
He got top cut and then like made I think 17th in Gdansk
Yeah,
or something like that.
So,
yeah.
we can maybe talk about Tord's deck. I mean, I think Tord is like debatably the GOAT, but I just do not think this
Yeah.
was a good deck like this week. I think this
No,
is just player
this-
decks that he made day 2. And, like,
This
he
is
didn't do that
Shades of
well.
Hydreigon right here.
Like there's no Dango answer in this deck at all. It's like, oh, you just like stamp and hope they whiff, I guess. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like a, it's cool. Like it's like a Charizard, or you start with Lopunny and then you transition to Charizard. There's a lot of 3 prizers in this deck.
Yeah.
So
It just I don't know. It just looks like Tord just saying, let's have some fun, right? Let's cook and just see what happens. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. It's playable. But I mean, nothing in this deck inspires a whole lot of confidence, right? Especially with the 3 prizers. I guess like going Lopunny stamp or even like Megazard X stamp is like good, but I don't know. At that point, why aren't you just playing Dragapult if that's your win condition, right?
yeah, I mean, I think for Tord, like whenever a new set comes out, it's just like massively plus EV for him to play a new deck. So that if he does well, he
Sure.
can make a Metafight guy, like 10
Yeah.
grand or something. I don't know if
Rockets
300th
Mewtwo.
place is the Rockets Mewtwo in Japan play. I don't know if 300th place is good enough for the Metafight guy, but who knows?
Well,
it's a cool
I don't
deck.
know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he lost Mateus. Like, yeah, he had some good players started losing, but
Sure.
I mean, like, honestly, yeah, like you said, he's just Tord having some fun, innovating. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, the guy, like, I don't know, like, I've talked to Tord about this before. I asked him, like, I'm like, do you even like get out of bed for like regionals and stuff? He's like, like if I have something cool to play. But for him, he's just focused on winning the ICs and like and worlds. And all
Yeah,
that, so.
yeah. I mean, you win enough regionals, and at some point, it's just another event, right?
Yeah, I mean, like winning another regionals like does nothing for Tord's legacy. It's like he doesn't care. Like
No.
like he won
Yeah.
Vegas, which is hype, but it's like I don't think that was like changing anyone's opinion. So this is
No,
just
I mean,
cool.
like Tord won Vegas, and we're like, okay, shock,
Expected.
surprise.
Yeah.
Tord won Vegas. Ooh.
Yeah.
Which is like interesting in its own right? That like Henry Chow wins X amount of regionals in the season, and it's like a big deal. But I mean, Tord could probably win 3 regionals in this. I mean, I'm not saying he would do that. But, like, if Tord won 3 regionals in a season, do you think people would actually be surprised?
No, like that'd just be expected, right?
No,
It's like, oh, like the best
right?
player
Like
won the most
it's really
points,
interesting. Or even like if Chow did it again this season, right? Like, you know, we would celebrate his consistency, but people would stop being surprised, right?
Yeah, it's like when you reach another level, like you reach like the S tier
Mm-hmm.
players, when people like just expect you to win instead of it's surprising, right? So
Yeah.
like honestly, it's more surprising when like I don't see Tord or Henry in top cut of like a tournament they go to than when they do make it, right? So
It's like, wow, Henry only made top 32. What a
scrub.
shocking turn of events.
He's a wash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one other like Europe deck that Fabian's been playing like the whole year is this like Blaziken Dragon Ball deck, where it seems pretty cool actually. I mean, I need to I need to give this a try because like Blaziken's my favorite Pokemon. But I know Fabian's like adamant this deck's like amazing. Like just no one's picked it up besides him. Oh, you got the Torchic Squishmallow, and you got
I'm a big Torchic. Actually, I have another Torchic right here. Hold up. Reach for it. We got another Torchic right here.
Yeah, same. I got mine behind me too.
Yeah.
Best starter.
It is the best. It's the best Pokemon even.
It is. Yeah, I love Torchic.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Torchic.
My username whenever I play video games is Fuego Pollo, which just means fire chicken because
nice.
I want to try this actually. I mean, like the nice thing now is like there's a month and a half. I guess for you too, like before any majors, so I have time to start playing like random decks like this. I guess actually the baby Blaziken is probably what like gives this deck some power. Like there's a Defiance fan, so you can actually one shot Dango and take some 3 prize turns. I mean, it's basically just like Wellspring's attack on a 1 prizer. So that seems good to me. And then I mean there's like Petrant Fez package. I'm guessing they'll like play around retreat locking, and like I guess Blaziken uses any type of energy, so I guess you can play darks, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, Blaziken EX as a card is something I've been trying to make work, like kind of on and off. Like whenever I have time, I'm like, okay, let me like try to build the Blaziken list, right? And the main thing with Blaziken EX as a card is it's just like another stage 2 that enables Monkey Dory, right? It's just like it's just worse Gardevoir. It's just fire type Gardevoir. But like you use the Blaziken EX, you get to enable a bunch of like cool Monkey Dory plays, and of course you have a bunch of HP, so you can soak up the damage. And then Dragapult is just a partner that makes sense. Like the overall logic here is that you're effectively straight pult in a way. And then you attack with Dragapult, and you get to play double Monkey, and that's just really good. You can even attack with the Petrant EX, right? Because you can just power it up in 1 turn. You have the dark energies for it. Fabian actually released a Metafy guide on this a while back, and I bought it. I haven't read all the updates, but I read like the initial release, and what was really interesting was kind of the talk about Baby Blaziken, where he previously didn't play the card because while the card is really strong, it's really hard to power up with Blaziken EX, right? Getting double Blaziken EX and Baby Blaziken in play is near impossible. So you kind of have to use the reversal energy to kind of get value from it, right? But of course, reversal energy plus Blaziken is super strong. And you combo that with double Monkey and with Dragapult and all that stuff, right? It just becomes it's a weird deck where like at a glance it just looks like it's a universally good deck. Where like you look at its matchup spread and I can't really figure out what the matchup spread would even look like with this, right?
Yeah, neither can I.
Yeah, like I would love to like bring this to like a League Cup and just like mess around with it, right?
That might be what I do, yeah.
Yeah. It definitely looks really cool, and any excuse to submit Torchic on a deck list is certainly worth it.
I wonder if Dawn could work in a deck like this, but I guess we're trying to go TME though.
Yeah, actually, I had someone ask me about that, where like Dawn as a card is like kind of interesting in a deck like this because you can you get full value from Dawn, right? But I think Dawn as a card, especially as like a 4 of, like only actually works when you get to Dawn for Noctowl, right? Like where the Dawn searches more than just Pokemon, like effectively. Where like here we're Dawning for what, Dracloak, right? And Dracloak's a good card, but it's not Noctowl, okay? Yes. So like I'm sure Dawn would like be fine here, but at what point is it just like worse than Arven, Iono, and Lily, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. But yeah, super cool deck. Maybe I'll go check out Fabian's guide. Oh, he had like a rough stretch against Dango here, but I think he said he like made some mistakes or something. But yeah, pretty.
It's interesting to note, like looking at this. I was looking at this earlier. If we say this like, I don't know, Dragapult Blaziken deck is supposed to do well against Dango, right? I mean, he very clearly didn't here, but let's just say Fabian like got unlucky or made some misplays or whatever it might be. Assuming we beat Dango, I mean, he beat basically everything else, right? He had a loss to Brennan in round 3. Obviously, Brennan Cameron, a very strong player in its own right? Playing the Absol. I don't know how the Absol matchup would play out. Probably similar to like Pult Noir, I'd imagine. And yeah, I mean, he clearly, was able to beat just about everything else in the room, right? I think the Gardevoir matchup is supposed to be like not super good. Like you are able to do like some shenanigans and then close the game with the Petrant, or even like aggro Petrant and like utilize the weakness on the Gardevoir EX. So yeah, super interesting deck. Really cool to see Fabian like consistently bring it and like consistently do pretty well with it as well, right? He had an earlier top cut this season playing this deck to Frankfurt, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the list keeps changing, but he's been playing it for a minute.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
got fourth at Frankfurt. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's just been grinding this top 120 LIC, top 128 Advanced, top 32 Stuttgart. So pretty clean results for here or for him.
Yeah.
So nice. Anything else that was crazy? The only other deck I saw that was in top 32 I thought was interesting was the Kanga booth. So I know like this deck got like buffed with the ice cream cone. I think this deck's maybe a little under the radar right now. It's like decent.
Yeah.
It's like very linear. Like it's again one of those decks where it's like, well, you just go turn energize and trolley turn one. But I mean, like you have the corner package for Dango. I mean, if they're playing them all while I know we don't play the counter to this, but a lot of the Dango lists do.
Yeah.
I think I looked. I
Of
think it was
course.
like 47% of Dangos on the weekend were playing Lopunny.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then like you have, but I mean, like the Kanga, like you with the charm and the boosts, you're up to 410 HP. You know, you throw in the ice cream cones and the monkey. In some matchups, you can really make the Kanga like a final raid boss where it just takes like 3 attacks to knock it out. So this is another deck that maybe I want to spend some time with, like exploring a little bit and seeing if there's anything here. But I don't know how good this deck actually is, but it seems like okay to me.
Yeah. My understanding of it, like looking at it at a glance, I actually have a little bit of exposure to it, or exposure with it. A student of mine came to me with it and was like, hey, this looks cool. We played some games and I was very pleasantly surprised by the deck. It's kind of like an Absol with an alternate matchup spread in a way, where you're kind of trying to do the same thing, where instead of, having Absol as an attacker, right? You just go all in on Kangaskhan and you say, hey, this big ice cream card is pretty good. And with Bouffalant, I mean, as you said, like this Kangaskhan just doesn't die, right? Like you reach 380 with Charm Lively Stadium, that becomes an effective 440 with Bouffalant. And then you play Double Monkey for Ice Cream Cone, and you can even play Penny if you have to. There's really nothing in this format that will one-shot a Kangaskhan. Even Dengo, I mean, we're up at hitting 9 energies to knock out a Kangaskhan in one hit, right? And we can't reliably 2-shot it or 3-shot it even with decks like Gardevoir or Dragapult or any of those decks, right? They can't really touch it because a single ice cream is like kind of all it takes to like nullify a turn. So I think the win con for a lot of decks becomes like scream tailing, for example, for Gardevoir, or like spreading to the bench, right? It's like take out the Bouffalant first and then go for the Kanga. I just like the silver lining is that they can't really get more than one Kanga going in a game, right? That seems pretty difficult. So they typically go like raid boss Kanga, then close with Blood Moon, right? But yeah, really interesting deck. This might actually be something we see more of in the future, but for now it's too early to tell.
Yeah, it's definitely an under the radar deck. I think it's pretty solid. There's like a Slacky top 64. I saw this. This was pretty
yeah.
Pretty funny to see Slacking do well. Again, like kind of like a mid deck that I mean, I guess you sometimes get results, but after that, now we're gonna start getting the trenches. I mean, like Grimm's best placement was 48th. I think Grimm is just in like such a bad spot right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Looks like this list didn't play Frost last. Like like there's like a toadstool.
Yeah, this is That's the same 60 as Tim Danklin, actually, from Vegas.
That. And he was adamant that he could have made top cut in Vegas if he just played better. But I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like your deck seems is not that good.
I think it was Brent and Natalie who just called us a worse Zorg.
That's what we were talking about that, dude.
Yeah,
we're like why would you not just play Zorg at this point?
Right.
And I kind of agree with that. Like the only advantage this has is you get Spike Myth.
I guess like self acceleration, right?
Yeah, I guess
with the
self acceleration. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much Stuttgart. Not too much change with Phantasmal Flames, but the deck that did win, I think, did take advantage of the newest card the best.
For sure.
So it kind of feels like our metagame is kind of like honestly not changing that much from where it was like the last set. We're just shuffling around the builds a little bit. And like the next regional is Toronto, my hometown regional. So we have like a month and a half pretty much. So like I think a lot of cooking might be going on. So I think this event, like there was only like a week between most of the top players at LAIC. So I think a lot of them like didn't work that much. But I think if we're gonna start seeing some innovation, we'll see it at like the next few regionals that we're gonna see in the new year.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's also like not a coincidence that the winning 60 was made by someone who did not go to LAAC. While both me and Nikolai actually traveled together to Brazil. Oscar was at home, cooking this Donzard deck, right? And where I was like, hey, I need to still stay on Dengo, right? Even though like I knew the Donzard deck was like really, really broken going into the event, right? Like I had the 60. I was like, nah, I gotta stay on Dengo. It's not like Dengo did bad, right? But Oscar cooked a 60, cooked a really, really good 60, handed it to whichever Danish players wanted it, and that deck did pretty well, right? So
yeah. Good showing for the Danes. Actually, you guys have had a pretty good showing this year overall, to be honest.
What can I say? Denmark's just on top, right?
You guys are challenging Canada for the best players per capita.
We're getting closer, but we're not quite there. Well, we maybe challenge Canada, but we probably still lose to Toronto, right?
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, Toronto, that's where everyone lives, like all the yeah, I'm excited. But you know what's sad is like we haven't, like, a Toronto player has not won our regional since like 2016. So
that's kind of crazy.
We go and we win like all these other tournaments, and then we haven't been able to defend our home city one for a long time. So hopefully that changes this year.
We'll see.
But yeah, we'll have to see that. Cool. Yeah, Christian, anything else you want to talk about from Stuttgart? I don't really have anything else. I think we covered it pretty in depth. Yeah,
I think the only thing that like metagame wise I think is really interesting is that the meta's been really all over the place throughout all of Mega Evolution format. I actually think Stuttgart kind of centralized the format in a really strange way where it's not quite as centralized as we've seen in the past. Like, God forbid we went back to Lugia Peak format, right? Like Silver Tempest. But I think in no particular order, Dengo, Jelly Guardy, Polt Noir, and Donzard or Noctilizard or whatever you want to call it are just like the 4 best decks in the game by a mile. Yeah. Like they're they're just so much better than whatever rank 5 would be, which I guess is like Absol, I guess, right? But like those 4 decks are just so much better than everything else, where it kind of creates this like really interesting situation where we're back to a meta where you're now either playing one of the best decks, which are those 4, or you're playing something else that's like trying to counter meta, right? And decks like Absol, Grimmsnarl, Sork, Terrabox, etc., right? Like these are now the anti-meta decks, right? They're not part of the centralized meta. I mean, they weren't like the best of the best earlier, but the gap seems to have widened quite a bit. So yeah, we'll see if that impacts Toronto meta at all. But that's like the biggest development I think I've noticed.
Yeah. No, I agree. It definitely feels like there's like the biggest gap in a while between tier 1 and tier 2, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As well. Like, yeah. It's like the raw power level of the decks. For sure. So, cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else we need to talk about regarding Stuttgart. Or I guess the rest of the episode. I just wanted to break it down. Our initial reaction to the meta. So, Christian, I appreciate you coming to fill in for Aneil, helping out. So yeah, I'll give you some time. Is there anything you want to plug? I know you do some stuff. You also do Pokemon like me. So why you plug all your stuff? Let the people know how they can support you.
Of course. So I mean, first and foremost, go follow me on Twitter or X or whatever, right? You'll get updates for everything I do on like every other platform there. So like that's the place to be. Sticks PTCG should be the handle. Why can't I remember my own handle? Yep, Sticks PTCG. I stream on Twitch as well, 2 to 3 times a week, typically European time zone primarily, but if you're an early riser in North America, like I'll typically be live in the morning for your time. So come stop by. It's typically pretty fun. I also coach on Metafy. Trying to take a small step back from one-on-one coaching, but I do a bunch of community stuff, community content. Of course, have a guide out on Goldengo Solrock, right? So check that out if you're interested. A bunch of stuff over on Metafy. Stream on Twitch, play a bunch of Pokemon, right? Again, I play Pokemon full time, just like Ciaran. So it's a good time. It's good content coming out, so check it out if you're interested.
It sounds good. Yeah. I don't think I have anything to show this week. So ethical episode for me.
Until next time.
Yeah, actually, I have a funny shout out, bro. I was playing. Okay. I was playing in my basketball league last night, and like sometime in like the second half, like this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, like on the other teams, like, yo, do you play the Pokemon TCG?" I'm like, "Yeah." And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, like I watch your podcast and your content."
Sick.
I can't remember. I think his name was David. I'm really sorry if I messed it up, but bro, shout out you. That was just like the most random place to get recognized for the pod.
I was like, I've definitely not been recognized at volleyball yet, and I'm trying to keep it that way.
Bro, I've only gotten recognized twice outside of like Pokemon tournaments, and they're both basketball related. That, and I was one time like at a Raptors event, like the Toronto Raptors, and like some guy comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, like I love shift gear, all that," and then like his girlfriend or his wife was like so confused. She's like, "Yo, who's this guy you're talking to?"
That's sick.
But I always love that. So that was awesome. But cool. I had lots of European people come to me in Stuttgart as well, which was really nice. So I appreciate everyone listening as always and supporting. Aneil should be back next week. I think. I don't know. I think he's back. He's just in New York this week.
Probably.
If not, I'll have another guest next week. But I think we'll be back to the two of us next week. So appreciate everyone listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.